Kaloo, Kalay, and a yippee-ki-yay, because you are now tuned into a brand spanking new Monday Night Live. That's right, a.k.a. the Hangout stream, a.k.a. the Chill stream, baby. All fired up for May 15th, 2023, and brought to you by yours truly, the man broadcasting from behind the curtain. You know who I am. Come on. Because if you don't know by now, you can visit www.livefreeliverich.com or simply Google this name and you can find out. How you guys doing? Did you have a week? How's life? Let me break down what I got for the show tonight. I have quite a healthy show for you all tonight, actually. I have a supplemental type of blog post for reading time that aims to stimulate your mind with a variety of curiosities. And for featured media, yeah, you heard that right. I actually have a video to watch tonight. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll be watching a fan theory video that postulates upon the contents in one of the most viral indie comics to come out of the underground scene in recent years. I've got some audio drama to touch upon, a new mystery pack to unwrap, as well as a cool new hot topic to pitch. You heard that right. Before I get into all of that, though, first things first, I like to take this time, slide right inside my first segment of the night, where I like to shine a spotlight on some books. That's right. That are currently available or coming soon to an online store near you. Yes, it's true. Let's see what we have up first. From Twitter, from John Freeman. He says, the hard SF world building cookbooks. He says, write the story, choose a location, have the science for it as needed, inspiration, then world building. So I guess he's got three, what he calls science fiction world building cookbooks for you guys. This is kind of a first for the live stream. I think I've had some RPG tabletop type. I've covered something like that before, but nothing like this. I don't think on craft itself. So let's see what it's all about. All right. So we have Hard SF World Building Cookbook number 2, subtitled Supernova by Dr. John Freeman. So what do we have here? Hard Sci-Fi World Building Cookbook number 2, Supernova. Effectively, a how-to guide for writers and role players. Start with your story, choose locations, find situations, and inspire novel prompts as you need them. Have the science behind them at your fingertips when you want it. Inspiration first, then world building. So it says the Hard SF World Building Cookbook. So this is kind of like an overall what these books are about. It says written for world builders who want their in-world science to be more than just techno babble. The hard SF cookbooks are focused on story and dramatic possibilities rather than just being, here's the science, now go create. Each starts with a guide for the aspiring space traveler, where to go and how to avoid being fried, zapped, and or blasted. Then pulls out to the artist, writer, and GM point of view with lookup tables so you can start from the trope or scenario you want, find new story hooks, and work back towards the science behind them. Now, so here's a little something about this one here, this book number 2. It says they are on Supernova. They are the biggest, most devastating explosions in the universe, lasting for months, unleashing more energy and radiation than an entire galaxy. Supernova have shaped galactic history and, in some regions, effectively ended it. If your characters find themselves threatened by one, you'll need to know, how far do they have to run? Is there anywhere they can hide? And is there any technology anywhere in the galaxy that might protect them? Using a series of simple, flexible lookup tables, this book sets out the range, lethality, and timing of a supernova's effects, as well as detailed notes on the visuals and experiences that accompany them, their millennia-long aftermath, and countermeasures for endangered spacecraft and planets, putting storytelling ahead of technical detail, but with plenty of in-depth material for those wanting to do a deeper dive. This second installment in the Hard SF World Building Cookbooks series covers immediate effects of a supernova on space vehicles, delayed effects of a supernova on space vehicles, immediate effects of a supernova on an Earth-like planet, and then the delayed effects of which, the aftermath effects of a supernova, supernova prediction, tech and industrial levels, use of traveler tech periods and Kardashev levels, Kardashev, effects of radiation doses, countermeasures for space vehicles and Earth-like planets. There it is. A little bit of a cookbook. Might come in handy for fiction writers as well, I suppose, if you're doing sci-fi. Yo! Hey, Herman. What's going on, man? There's one for you. How are you tonight? John Willems up next. Speaking of sci-fi, we're going from hard sci-fi to perhaps a little bit more of a loosey-goosey kind of sci-fi. I don't know if that's actually a subgenre of sci-fi, but I just coined it because we're going on a beer run. We're going to get loose. After a halftime break for the Super Bowl commercials, we are back to the world of pandemonium for part 3 of my brief history. Shares a link, and he says, if you would like to look into the other fantasy world I've been working on, check out Beer Run, and that's what we're going to do. I'm playing some D&D. I know that's one of your favorite games, DDO. All right, so here we go. It is the year 2538 in the Democratic Union of Planets. While many promising young men aspire to join the intergalactic navy and explore the universe, Bill Stilson, son of the inventor of the artificially intelligent android, just wants to run a microbrewery on the moon. I'm with that guy. This is why he illegally buys an abandoned android, whom he dubs Cassandra, and covertly puts her to work behind the bar. However, Bill is thrown into a mystery when his old commander flies his ship into the sun, killing everyone on board, and Bill becomes a part of the investigation. Bill and Cassandra, along with Bill's adopted android brother, Isaac, get drawn into a Luddite conspiracy. 111 pages of humorous science fiction, general humorous fiction, space opera, science fiction. Definitely sounds like there is some drama afoot. That's one small step for man. One giant pint for mankind. All right, who we got up next? Remy Marie says zombies, cults, and a desperate search for a cure. Two friends must test the limits of their relationship in this action-packed, apocalyptic romance where secrets are the key to survival. All right. So here we go. Yes. Yeah, a couple of friends. I don't know if that's referring to the people on title here, on the cover, I mean. But apparently this friendship comes with some bennies. Zombie cults in a desperate search for a cure. Two friends must test the limits of their relationship in this action-packed, apocalyptic romance where secrets are the key to survival. The U.S. government has been keeping a secret. During the Vietnam War, they created zombies. And if the undead ever escaped, they created a backup plan, Code Z. A last-ditch contingency for if their ill-advised creation should ever cause an outbreak. Unfortunately, the day has come for that plan to be enacted. Navy SEALs Malcolm White and Zach Morris are on a mission to rescue the governor of Virginia from the spreading zombie invasion when they learn that Malcolm's friend, Anne Yamaguchi, and Zach's wife, Kelsey, are stuck in a mall in the midst of a zombie attack. Oh. Perhaps drawing a little inspiration from Dawn of the Dead there. And also Zach Morris. Isn't that from Saved by the Bell? Dun, 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 'cause I'm saved by the dun, 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 'cause I'm saved by the. Abandoning the mission, Malcolm and Zach rush to save them and bring them to the safety of the Little Creek Naval Base. However, they discover that only those who are married to a member of the military are allowed to find sanctuary on the base. That is when a plan is devised. Anne and Malcolm pretend to be married. Yes, pretend. To protect her from the worst of the plague. Soon, Anne and Malcolm discover this plan creates more problems than it solves. Not only will the couple find themselves struggling to uphold the ruse while also evading zombies and vengeful demonic cults, they will find that living a lie changes their growing feelings for each other. Feelings that could have the potential to ruin their friendship forever. This fast-paced apocalyptic romance will leave you turning pages late into the night as stakes rise and friendships are tested. Will a cure be found, or will the world fall to a monster of its own making? Oh, we got a TW here. Trigger warning. This book contains mature scenes, gore, sexual assault, and elements of horror. Oh, I kind of figured that last part. 425 pages. Doesn't sound bad. Dystopian fiction. Dystopian science fiction. A multicultural and interracial romance. Hey, mister. How are you? Oh, that's fine. Cooking, huh? Always seem to be this is like your dinner time, huh? Is this your dinner time? Is this your dinner time? I forget where you are, where you're located. Dinner, breakfast, lunch. It's one of those meals, right? Perhaps a snack. One more book. We'll round it up. Round up. Adventures of Molly and Grain. Okay. Every adventure, prequel, and a short story by Grain herself. You'll fall in love with these characters. It says chapter books. I believe these are chapter books for children. Children's chapter books. The kids need entertainment too, you know. Why not? All right. So a Molly and Grain Omnibus 1. Books 1 through 4, The Adventures of Molly and Grain. So this is written by Gail Notestein, but also with Vivian Mainville as the illustrator. What would you do with a dog the size of a small pony in a house the size of a school bus? Molly has always wanted a puppy. What she gets is more adventure than she bargained for. What happens when a giant dog turns your world upside down? Join Molly and her family as they have adventures beyond their wildest dreams. Enjoy the first 4 books and the prequel in the very popular Molly and Grain series. Travel with Molly O'Hare and her very special best friend from their first meeting through all of Texas and Mexico. Join them on their adventures as they visit a dude ranch, foil a human trafficker. That escalated quickly. And even solve a mystery. This omnibus, it's the second time that I've heard the word omnibus. I've never actually heard that term or heard of that term or knew of that term before. There's this other book that I'm reading right now. This is the second time that I've heard that word. But anyways, this omnibus includes In the Beginning, The 7-Foot-Long Dog, Cowboy Tales, Jingle in the Jungle, and Old Mole. And it also includes a never-before-published story written by Grain, which I'm assuming is the name of the dog. So this is target age range 7 to 13 years of age, a whopping 830 pages in this collection here of children's mystery and detective adventure, action adventure books. Very good. Oh, okay. West Coast. You on the west side. So it's actually still, it's not even prime time yet where you're at. You're just leaving, you're right around after happy hour, I suppose, or reaching it. All right. Those are the books. Those are the books for this week, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And be sure to go ahead and head on over to the community tab. You're watching this on the replay or shortly after this in the post-production. I always put up the poll so you can vote for which one out of those 4 books you thought had the most text appeal. That's right. So in other words, which one out of those 4 books would you be most likely to pick up? And if you'd like to discover more from the independent market, you can head on over to my shorts tab or my playlist tab, and you can open yourself up some mystery packs. Inside each mystery pack, there is one cover card that reveals a book from the independent market that was recognized by the Live Free, Live Rich network. And in the description section of that video, there's a link that will bring you to an editorial written on that book by yours truly. And which brings to the next segment, which is actually a new segment that I launched maybe a few weeks back now that I'm calling the Reader's Review. And this actually is a segment that I am excited about. And I'm a little bit disappointed that I'm not getting people to jump on board with this segment, because I really would like to start highlighting some readers out there. I feel like if authors start championing readers more, and readers start getting getting a special time of day where they're getting recognized for taking the time to leave reviews. Because it's one thing if, a book sells, that's great. Like, all authors would, like to have some sales. But then it's another to actually know that somebody took the time to actually read your book. Like, that's like, at the end of the day, I would think that all artists, that's what they want at the end of the day. They just want someone to actually take the time and read something that they've put so much time, energy, and effort into. And then to take it even a step further, and that person decides to write a review, and of all books, something that comes from the underground, something that is obscure to the vast majority of people, to take the time and write something about it. I think that's huge. And I feel like if maybe people start paying attention to readers a little bit more that are taking the time to do that sort of thing, then perhaps people, will be more inspired to want to it may, in other words, it may inspire other people to want to do that, to get involved in that way. Like, say they have no aspirations to become an author themselves, but at the same time, they might be thinking to themselves, well, why am I going to take the time to read an indie book, and review, well, maybe not read an indie book, but review an indie book, because it's like, who else, is going to know that this book exists, and, the interests or whatnot. But that's just it. It's like, without people, I feel like you're just championing people who actually are showing an interest, because that's where it starts. Everything starts somewhere. So if we start championing these people that are actually leaving reviews, then that shows that, yeah, you are being noticed for actually reading indie books. And we appreciate you for taking that time, to get involved in that way. So this is what I want to do with this segment. So really, these are just short form reviews too. This isn't anything spectacular. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, like a full on analysis, a breakdown, an in-depth look, anything like that. This segment is just for short form reviews only. And by short form reviews, I literally just mean like Goodreads, like a Goodreads. I know Goodreads reviews can get lengthy, but I'm willing to do like pretty much any kind of Goodreads review. So if it's on like a review platform like that, or say if it's an Amazon review, I can read it directly off of Amazon. I haven't had one of those yet. I'll read an Amazon review. So this can be two ways to contribute to this segment. So one, it could be directly from a reader. So if you're a reader out there and you're reviewing indie books, share a review. Share a review. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-star review or a 5-star review, a positive review or a negative review. I'll read all the above. Okay. It's not about gassing up the authors. It's not about trying to blow smoke up people's asses. No. You took the time, you reached into your pocket, you put your money where your mouth is, you bought a product, you read it, you read the whole book cover to cover, and you shared your thoughts about it. That's what this segment is about. It's about highlighting readers, okay? And the other way that you can contribute to this segment is authors. You yourselves, if you think that someone gave you a good review, it seemed like they kind of went above and beyond, and they really, maybe it seemed like they really put some effort and some work and some thought into their review, and you want to highlight them. And, it doesn't have to be that. Even if it's a simple review and it just made your day and you just want to highlight a particular individual, for taking the time to leave a review, that works for me too. Any kind of review, so long as it's just a short form review. Editorials, that's a different thing. And we'll get into that later. Editorials I usually do save for reading time. Hello, hello. Is this Winslow? Is this Winslow? Or is this Crimson? Nice to see you. Popping in, Winslow or Crimson says, hey, Jonathan, thought I would pop in, putting finishing touches on I Bury the Living. Yes. That's Winslow. How you doing? Yes, and that's just it. You know, reviews are important. And I say that, and I'm not like I read indie books, I review indie books, but when I'm picking out indie books, I don't necessarily look at the reviews as a means of like that's my decision of how I'm going to pick a book. I may see the ratings of it, but I don't necessarily like scroll through all the reviews when picking a book. However, after I'm done reading an indie book, it is fun, even from a reader standpoint. Like it's fun after I'm done reading an indie book to go and see that there were other people who had left reviews on the book. So it's kind of like a way to kind of like after the fact, I look at it as like a way of kind of comparing and contrasting like what I got out of the book versus what other people were getting out of the book. You know what I mean? And it's almost like having like it's a way of kind of opening up discussion as well. Reviews can be a way of opening up discussion. And seeing things that maybe you didn't see when you were reading the book or vice versa. Sharing things that others may have missed. But yeah, but on the creator side and on the author side, the artist side, I think that would be a smart move for more content creators to kind of be focusing on highlighting and championing readers who do reviews. And also I'm also not referring to like Booktube either. That's a completely separate thing all in it and of itself. So if you do Booktube reviews, like I will accept those like type of links, but I would use it as like a featured media thing. So this is just, when I say share reviews, I'm just looking for written form reviews. Hey, thanks. I actually got some news to talk about tonight in regard to Doorway to Nightmare. So let's get right into the next segment and get into some announcements. All right. Oh, well, go indie now. Shout out. How you doing? The great thing about art It's subjectivity and you getting something different out of it than someone else. Yeah, sure. So let's talk about that a little bit. Speaking of editorials and reviews, I have a new mystery pack to reveal. Mystery pack. I believe I'm up to number 41 mystery pack. A new mystery pack reveals the indie breakdown of Anarchy and Other Lies. So a new mystery pack reveals the indie breakdown of Anarchy and Other Lies by Jesse McKinnell, which I found out is actually a fellow Mainer. So that was pretty cool to find that out. Yeah, just had this one sitting on my TBR list for a while. Finally got around to reading it, and I'll leave a link to that. Mystery packs, like I said before, it's kind of like my way of doing shorts, but really it's just I'm advertising for my editorials, and that's how I kind of give back to the indie market, that I also contribute to as a writer. Because if any of you know me, I despise the short form media. So the mystery packs is about all you can ever expect from me when it comes to my short form media, my shorts. It's about the only YouTube shorts or Instagram shorts I'll upload is just the mystery packs, which is really just a glorified way of sharing a link to my blog. But if you guys have something to share, you can join we got two servers you can join, the Gilded server and the Discord server. So either one of these, or you could join them both if you want. The links are always in the show notes down below. I just started these. It's basically just like to kind of create a direct line of connection between you and I. And if you literally just want to use it as a link sharing resource, you can do so. I don't expect you to check in daily, engage in small talk, anything like that, but you're more than welcome to. And you can network amongst yourselves on the server. I just assume everyone's an adult. You can figure that stuff out on your own time. But for me, I would like to just be able to log in there, and I can see I have all these different channels set up. So you can share videos, you can share your book links, you can share blog posts with me. You can share reading events. You can share all sorts of stuff. You can share your art. You can share your artwork with me. All things that I can then turn around. And if I feel like I can fit it into one of these shows, then I will do so. And then just make it easy on everyone. You can just share things on your own time that way. All right, let's talk about some audio drama. We've got Winslow in the chat here, the creator, one of the co-creators of Doorway to Nightmare. That's right, Doorway to Nightmare is on its 7th season. 7th season, can you believe it? And just this past Friday, I played a role in a little show called Caught Dead-Handed. Now, I don't know if there's a little subtitle going on there, but it also says, now where to hide the body. And if you know, you know, as far as that goes. You'll have to check out the episode for yourself, which I will leave a link for in the show notes in post-production. And I got to say, Winslow, if you're here, I just found it funny because with each one of these episodes that I play a role in, I add it to my I add it to my catalog on my own website, on my personal website. I keep a table of like all the episodes that I was featured in, just documenting them. And I just think it's funny. Like I have back-to-back episodes where I am playing the newscaster. I just got a kick out of that. And Winslow is saying, "Oh yeah, typecast. You're typecast." It's fun stuff, I have to say. They premiere on Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm just messing. Yes, we have a special news bulletin. It's a fun voice. I have to say. I do enjoy doing that voice. We have a special news bulletin here. All right. Let's talk about some stories, shall we? You authors, you writers out there, you looking for some opportunities? I got one for you. The Storyteller Society is still accepting open submissions and probably will be into, indefinitely into the future. This is just something, this is a little side project that I launched on the eve of 2022 as kind of like a peer-to-peer outreach type of program or project, I guess. It's kind of a public collaborative project. People like to collaborate in different ways. And this is something that I've done before with other people's blogs. When I was big into blogging, there used to be a thing, it was called guest posts or guest blogging, where you would write an article or something like that, and somebody would host your article on their website. And then basically they would handle, in exchange for the content, they would handle all the marketing and the advertising. So effectively, that's kind of the same idea of what I'm going for here, except with creative writing. So what I'm looking for is flash fiction. Okay, that's for this project, is fiction that is between 500 to 2,000 words. It can be any genre, because the way that I'm marketing this, it doesn't matter for the genre, the way that I'm marketing this. So what happens is, if your work is approved, then you will effectively book yourself a room at the Hotel del SS, where all the members of the Storyteller Society stay. Okay. And so basically, I break down the criteria on here of what I'm looking for. This is a non-exclusive agreement. So really, all you're doing is you're agreeing to the terms of service. So there's no contracts involved, anything like that. And this is free for the public viewing. This isn't something that I make money off of, or I'm looking to profit off of. This is just, if you want to submit something, it can be something that you have published on your own blog or you have published somewhere else, so long as you own the copyright and you have the right to grant me permission to republish it on my own blog. Then I will take a look at it, and if approved, then it will be free for public viewing from here until the end of time, perhaps. So just another way of kind of networking, being able to network with my peers, kind of build that peer-to-peer, business-to-business relationship, if you will. And if you'd like to stay on the up and up with what's going on with Live Free, Live Rich, the whole brand, not just with the network, not just with Live Free, Live Rich Entertainment, but just my whole brand in general, then you can head on over to livefreeliverich.com, and right on the homepage, you can sign up for the weekly newsletter. I send out exactly one newsletter every week on a Saturday, and that's it. Give you all the pertinent links, because I know not everybody wants to be involved with social media too much, or they want to limit their exposure to social media. So the newsletter is still around. Sure, it's an old way of reaching people, but it's still an effective way of reaching people. So I subscribe to quite a few newsletters myself, and sometimes you never know what you're going to get. You stay up to date with what's going on. There it is. I was trying to think of it. Yeah. Walter Cronkite. Yes. Now, let's get into the next segment here. Reading time. Reading time is just what it states. I'll read something that you guys contribute to the show. You send me a link. It could be, now this is links to your own blog. So it could be your own blog on your own website, or it could be a piece of writing that you've published on a third-party site. So say, for instance, like Wattpad, Kindle Vella, medium.com, a Substack, anything like that. And this can be your own fiction. This can be poetry. This can be an editorial. This can be a critique piece, in-depth analysis type deal. That's what I mean by like editorials or something like that. Tonight we got a little something different, though. This is a little different, and I like the creativity here. I don't know if this person originated this type of idea. This is the first time that I've kind of seen a post like this. Well, let me see if I can find it. So from Twitter, from Drew Alexander Ross, says, thanks for the writer's lift, Jonathan. Here's my latest blog post with a quote, some info on a book, a movie, some brain food, and a closing spiritual message. Hope you enjoy the short read. So that's what I meant by like kind of a supplemental blog post. And this is Sunday Supplement number 92. And this is published by Drew Alexander Ross via his website /blog, drewalexanderross.com. We'll go with that. All right, so it looks like we got a little collage here for that. So we got Oscar Wilde, Blink, Men in Black, Sprouts, and a Zen proverb. It's a little mix. He calls his Sunday supplements. Below is another Sunday supplement with a quote worth sharing, a book worth reading, a movie worth watching, brain food worth consuming, and a spiritual passage worth pondering. I hope you take something away from these recommendations that enriches your week ahead. Well, that's pretty thoughtful. Let's see what he's got for us. Quote of the week. Experience is the hardest kind of teacher. It gives you the test first and the lesson afterward. That's by Oscar Wilde. Book of the Week, Blink, by Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell is a best-selling author, journalist, staff writer for The New Yorker, and a public speaker. In his New York Times best-selling book, Blink, Malcolm Gladwell directs how we often think without thinking during choices that seem to be made instantly. Blink highlights examples from psychologists who learned to predict whether a marriage will last. I featured one of their books in Sunday Supplement number 69. An expert tennis coach who knows when players will double fault, as well as other intriguing cases. The book addresses, that first one, though, the psychologists who learn to predict whether a marriage will last. Well, don't tell that to the divorce lawyers, right? They'll hang you out to dry. They'll be marching to your doorstep with their torches and pitchforks in hand. The book addresses why some people are brilliant decision. Yeah, I could tell too. Flip a coin. The book addresses why some people are brilliant decision makers. I think he meant makers there. Decision makers, while others end up stumbling into error. Blink directs how our brains work in different situations and how the best decisions can appear inexplicable at first glance. It's a fascinating book worth checking out. The movie of the week, Men in Black. The 1997 film Men in Black follows an NYPD officer as he joins a secret organization that polices and monitors extraterrestrial interactions on Earth. On the surface, Men in Black comes off as an entertaining science fiction action comedy movie. However, many deeper themes give the film an extra dimension. The existential questions over what we assume about our world and our unconscious biases about those around us are at the core of the entertaining narrative. The mentor figure of Tommy Lee Jones and the hero, young officer Will Smith, brilliantly bring the movie's depth to life in an exciting film for a thoughtful popcorn movie night. And here's the brain food of the week. Experiential learning. How we all learn naturally. I'll leave a link to this article. You guys can watch the YouTube video on your own time if you feel like it. Sprouts defines experiential learning as learning through experience or learning through reflection on doing, and argues that it is the most natural and powerful form of education. A little hands-on education, if you will. The video uses the example of learning to walk to show how we start out naturally doing this. It breaks down how our brain reflects on failure to help us understand how to succeed. Musicians often perform better on most tests, regardless of what the tests measure, because of their experience of not being put off by failure. The concept of experiential learning is pretty basic, as is the video, but it's a powerful reminder of how we should embrace failure and see what we can learn from it. Sprouts is a YouTube channel with over 1 million subscribers that makes educational videos about psychology, pedagogy, and child development. In the closing spiritual message, obstacles do not block the path. They are the path. Is a Zen proverb. This Zen proverb reminds me, I like how he's kind of adding a little something to it as well. Do you do that with the Oscar Wilde quote? No, he didn't. I would have liked to have heard what he said about that, or what he thought about that. This Zen proverb reminds me to think of the obstacles in my life from a different perspective. Usually, when I think of an obstacle, I think of something that blocks a path or prevents someone from moving forward. The proverb gives me the perspective of viewing obstacles as a chance to learn, deciding how to best move forward, and learning from the experience. Sometimes obstacles can seem like hindrances, but I think in the end, they help us challenge ourselves and bring out our best. Think about how an obstacle might be helpful and have a blessed week ahead. Thanks for sharing that. That was a fun little variety post there. I got a kick out of that. I think it kind of makes it a little bit personal too. You know, what are you watching? What are you reading? You know, what are you thinking about? And yeah, let's see what else someone's thinking about with our new next segment, featured media. Yes, I actually have a video to watch tonight. And I am excited about that because of the type of video that it is, which is an analysis video. Actually, more specifically, a theory video. And I'm going to be, this came from the Discord. So share the link with me on the Discord. This video that we're going to be checking out is the Ripperverse fan theory. So this is for ISOM 1. And this comes courtesy of James Craig via his YouTube. So definitely these are the types of videos, definitely the types of videos that I would like to, that I like to watch. Let's see what he has to say on this one. I actually haven't reviewed the video or anything like that beforehand. So this is my first playthrough here.
So, instead of calling them superheroes, here they're excepts. Exceptional? Or are they exceptions from some kind of cosmic rule? My name is James Craig, and I'm a science fiction author. Cape comments aren't exactly my forte, but I'm going to break down some analysis on ISOM 1, the first installment of the Ripperverse, skewed as it may turn out to be. I'm a sci-fi guy. I'm going to take all the contents we have so far and do a bit of extrapolation. Avery may well be the main character of the comic, but the two more revealing characters, in my opinion, are actually these two: Green Superman and Bothor. According to the secret intel cards, Brian Solari got the Captain America treatment during the Great War of Separation, which tells us quite a few things. First, excepts can be made.
Do you call him the Green Superman and the Bothor? Just assuming that that's where he's drawing influences from or comparing the characters.
Second, despite Fluorospark looking completely ordinary, it just got out of a major conflict that needed excepts to be solved. At the same time, Valadin's card indicates that the world is filled with so-called gods who have been living in hiding for centuries, if not millennia. So excepts are not new, and yet we made it to the same modern world. Now, why is that? Before I answer that, I'm going to start by pointing out Rippaverse is a kitchen sink modern day superhero world, and that's for pretty obvious marketing reasons. Mr. July is trying to give the consumers what they aren't otherwise getting. Rippaverse isn't a limited system like Kamen Rider or X-Men or you name it, and it's certainly not a subversion setup like Watchmen. There are gods, experiments, aliens, mutants, natural breakthroughs, and super buff ranchers. But that doesn't mean there won't be a unifying theme to the Accepts. You can have all the expected tropes and setups and still have it feel cohesive. So how to resolve the conflict? Magical gods have been on Earth all this time, but the course of history only recently changed. We know they were in hiding, so from what? The only piece of the puzzle so far is the Great War of Separation. Who was that with, though? Not an Earth nation. It would have been called World War III if it was an Earth nation. Not some empowered revolutionary, magical conqueror, anything like that. Also, wouldn't have been called a War of Separation. For Earth to have fought a war of separation, it must have been part of something and broken off. Now, some people have suggested that this is actually referring to a second American Civil War. I think we would have seen more definitive evidence of something like that. I'm pretty sure that this is in regards to the actual Accepts, the gods, and everything that was alluded to at the very end of the book. Now, Valadin, despite seeming to be a protector of Earth, probably isn't from Earth like Yaira. I don't know where Asgaror is, but he calls Earth a realm. Pretty sure he's an alien. Oh, and for the context of this video, I'm not making a distinction between planetary travel and interdimensional travel. There's really not much difference as far as storytelling goes. Anyway, at the end of the book, Norfolka senses someone returning to Earth and considers that they need to call in the cavalry. The other gods in hiding, presumably. I think that's pretty conclusive evidence that...
Now, mind you, I actually haven't read this comic book at all. I haven't looked into it or seen anything. I've heard plenty about it. It's all the rage around the indie scene, so I know that much.
That Earth was a subordinate realm of some interplanetary.
But I will say this much: that you are the first person that I've seen. I haven't gone looking, mind you, but you are the first person that I've seen that's actually like taking an in-depth look and actually analyzing the source material. So, yeah.
Governance, and only just recently do they have the power to free themselves. Doesn't mean that the interplanetary governance has been destroyed. You got to have an evil god somewhere for a comic series, don't you? Now, this isn't exactly a theory, but rather a prediction. I believe very soon we'll be introduced to a sort of Ozymandias, a Hank Pym, a Brainiac, someone who's an Accept, but their power is their intelligence, and he will have been the one that created the Superman program that created Solari. And for the sake of setting integrity and coherence, high intelligence will turn out to be one of the rarest acceptabilities. The knock-on effects of like even minor improvements to technology that a superhuman intellect could make would simply unravel a modern setting. There are real-world incentives that keep Rippaverse a reflection of reality, so I highly doubt you're going to see any commercially available arc reactors like in the MCU. But the emergence of a rare high-intelligence character also answers the question of, well, why does the story take place now? What is special about the setting that makes this the moment that has the best stories in it? It's all well and good to say, well, we want it in the modern day, therefore tell the stories in the modern day. But to make an actually good product, you need to have an answer for, this is why I'm giving people what they want, and a rare emergence of a high intelligence person that can shift the paradigm, such as from the gods have to be in hiding to we can now make Accepts. We can defend ourselves. We do not need to bow down to some evil god. We can fight a great war of separation. That answers the big question of why now? Now, let me try to tie this all together. I think accept means exceptions, specifically exceptions to a cosmic rule put on humanity to limit them, to say this is what a human is, this is what they're capable of, and no more. Accepts are therefore people who broke through the constraints of the circumstances of their birth and have flourished because of it. In fact, I think Mr. July is taking a page out of One Punch Man's book. Avery says it himself. He's just trained. You see him at the ranch doing regular strength training, and he overcame what a normal human is limited to. Now, Documon thinks he might be one of the strongest beings on the planet. And naturally, who else in the main character is going to fight off evil aliens? I think the Rippaverse will be going down a philosophical line of mind over body, and you'll see that in how multiple powers manifest in people. Super strength, flight, and who knows what else Solari can do aren't going to have some single underlying function. This isn't going to be JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, people. Solari is simply capable of doing what he can understand, what he can grok. Think about it like the Matrix. Lots of people can move fast, shoot well, dodge bullets, and jump across buildings. But at the end of the first movie, only Neo can fly. Not because he's the one, but because he understands what he's doing. You might think I'm grasping at straws here, but it will actually explain a lot of tropes you're likely to see going forward. Namely, that every Accept is super tough, recovers from wounds quickly, barely ages, and yet doctors don't know somebody's an Accept even when they're in the ICU.
So far, I would say that it definitely, like, just to kind of like put down what I'm picking up what you're putting down as far as like the powers go, where the powers, how these people are, the superheroes, or they're called Accepts because they have exceptional abilities, for instance, like the super strength or whatever. But what I'm wondering as an outsider looking in, like, can they be, this idea where your theory is going is that, they can become more powerful and this and that because they understand how to do it. Like if it's just like, well, if anyone can just gain the intelligence or get the knowledge of how to do it, then everybody can have like the same type. Everybody has those same types of powers. Is that the theory that you have? Because as an outsider looking in, I'll just say that that doesn't really sound like an appealing type of way to explain superpowers or to derive superpowers. Like and mind you, like this is coming from someone who's kind of like ignorant when it comes to, or naive rather, when it comes to comic book characters and superheroes and power fantasies. Okay. But from an author standpoint, I would think that, it would be more intriguing for the reader if the powers themselves were linked to something meaningful, like linked to something that was grounded in human reality, like something that a human being could relate to. For instance, like with, I don't know, I guess the best example I could come up with is like X-Men or something like that. I'm thinking about that character. Who's that chick character that can't touch people or else she'll kill them? Like if she does skin to skin contact. I forget her name. Is it Rogue or something like that? Like she can't, she killed her husband or something like that when she mutated and became a mutant. And now she can't touch. It's almost like, that grieving. There's that, you know what I'm saying? There's like this theme to it. It's like this double meaning to the power that they have, these heroes. It's not just, wouldn't it be cool if this guy could fly? Haven't you ever wondered what it'd feel like to fly? That only goes so far. And then it's like, okay, at that point, it's just novelty, the novelty of being able to fly, oh, look at me, I can fly. It's fun. Cool. This is how fast I can fly. This is how high I can fly. This is how long I can fly. You see what I'm saying? It just starts to become kind of clinical and like, all right, the novelty will wear off quickly. But if the power itself is almost like in a metaphorical way, it's tied into some sort of theme that is attached to that character themselves, whether it be loved, lost, and now, how she can't be intimate. She can't be intimate with another person because if she touches them skin to skin, she'll kill them, like that. It's not possible. So it's almost like there's a tragedy kind of wrapped up in that, built into that superpower. See what some of you guys saying. We got DA. It's stopped in. Welcome. Got Rachel here. Are you also? Gosh, YouTube sucks. Yes. Not too shabby, not too crabby. Femforce. Is that what that reminds? It reminds you of Femforce? I don't know what that is. Rogue. Yes. Thank you. I like Gambit. I thought Gambit was pretty badass. He didn't really have powers though, did he? He was pretty good at martial arts. He was pretty good with a bow staff. I know that much. Kind of like you know, who's the guy, the MTV guy who's pretty good with a bow staff? The one who's like, gosh, he's such an idiot. Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah, Gambit and Napoleon Dynamite. I bet you would have never heard anyone make that comparison, huh? They're both pretty good with a bow staff. Oh, such an idiot. The best X-Man is Nightcrawler, says Rachel Morley. The goodest of the boys. Nightcrawler. I don't know who that one is. D.A. Bell schooling me on the lore. He says she was already a mutant, and the mutants are born that way. Okay. All right. Their powers are just active at different stages. All right. I get it. All right. So she's born a mutant, but it's just, you know, you have to go through kind of like some of the X-Men have to kind of go through a mutant kind of puberty before their powers are unleashed. All right, let's go back to Craig.
There are a ton of contrivances that enable superhero stories. Things like the Flash also having super speed reflexes and vision to match his running speed. Once a person has transcended their limits, they're only going to be limited by what they can understand. Everyone will naturally develop a certain resilience to harm and aging, but how many people will understand what it means to be more intelligent? Not many. Same reason Solari and Braxwell can fly, but Valdez can't. If you don't believe me yet, consider the practical application.
So I would just say my question to you, James, since you're kind of diving into this and you've read the source material, is that what you think that it would be? Like, is that what you're getting from the ISOM thing? Like these powers are really just kind of based on effectively what it sounds like is IQ, whether it's a combination of IQ level and knowledge. So the know-how and the intellectual capacity, or if they have the intellectual faculties, if you will, to kind of unleash or tap into these exceptional abilities. I would be interested to get your take on that. Or what I said before, like with, okay, but what about the characterization here? You're talking about the powers, the superpowers that these heroes have and kind of like how they unlock them. But are you noticing any kind of like layers to it? Or is it literally just, you know, abilities just for the sake of abilities? Are you noticing any kind of like, is there any kind of like deeper meaning to these superpowers at all? Are they meaningful to the individual characters in any type of way that, you know, it makes sense for those characters to have said type of powers, you know, anything like that? I'd be kind of curious to know that about it, about the story itself.
Doing this kind of mind over matter setup unifies all causes of XEPs, gives a path for the characters learning.
I feel like if just any character, the point that I'm getting, I feel like if just any character is capable of unlocking these powers, then doesn't that kind of like diminish the value of the power itself? Or not necessarily the value, but like the meaning of it. You know what I mean? Like, what does it mean to fly? What does it mean? Or I should say more specifically, what does it mean for, you know, the blue Superman to be able to fly, or whoever that character was, you know? What does it mean? Why does he need to know how to fly? Is it necessary at any point within the plot for him to be able to have that kind of power? And if anybody else can just decide that one day they can just start flying, well then, you know, what does that mean for Blue Superman? Is he out of a job at that point?
New powers when needed, but also pushes them to expanding uses of what they already understand. They can even have mid-combat breakthroughs. But are we going to see Isom put his fist through a god's face? The amount of people who know that for certain, you can probably count on one hand. This has just been my fan theory. I'm James Craig, a sci-fi kind of guy, and if you're still here, please subscribe for future content. If you think I'm full of shit, you think I'm totally wrong, let me know in the comments. See ya.
I don't think it was a bad video, man. I don't think it was a bad video. I certainly have some questions. I'll say that much, and I kind of laid those out. Certainly have some questions. Yeah. DA says, "Are you familiar? Have you read it, DA?" Says ISOM number 1 is 96 pages. That's long enough to establish how powers work. Certainly, or at least for a few characters. Because say, for instance, it's not, like I say, again, I'm coming from a standpoint of, you know, I don't really know shit when it comes to comic books and superhero stories and power fantasies. Because effectively that's what, you know, superhero comic books are all about. They're power fantasy type stories. But, you know, but that doesn't mean that there can't be good storytelling. I'm not saying that at all. You know, quite the contrary, actually, that's what I'm alluding to, is like, okay, well, what do these powers mean? That's what I want to know. What is the significance of these powers? Is it just, you know, there's got to be some point to it, is what I'm saying. What's the point of having the power? You know, is it to illustrate, you know, say it's a certain type of character, that you're working on a character and they're a real hothead type of character, they're a loose cannon type of character, and then suddenly they're become imbued with this really powerful type of ability that kind of sets them, you know, apart from mankind altogether in terms of strength. It could be a strength. They say he suddenly has the strength of like 10 men, but he's characterized as like a hothead, a loose cannon, somebody who frequently gets into bar fights and shit like that. Now, suddenly that character becomes aware of this ability that they now have, where they have the strength of like 10 men. How does that affect their psyche? Do they become humble? Do they become, you know, a bully? Do they become somebody who, you know, changes their outlook? You know what I mean? As far as the way that they deal with their anger and their temper, you know, that's a type of theme. That's an example of like a theme being attached to a superpower. You know, it's just an easy example, just something, you know, off the top. You know, it's kind of cheesy, but, you know, it's just, that's what I'm kind of getting at here. Blue Superman, is it? But yeah, definitely more videos where people are talking about actually. I definitely kudos to you though, James Craig, for actually, you know, you taking that step, actually starting to consume content, the content that's actually out here in the indie scene, and beginning to talk about the material, because that's I feel like we need more of that. We need more of that, not just, you know, not just you know, people shilling, but people actually talking about the material out here, the books and the products that are coming out of the indie scene. You know, that's really I think that's really important if this is going to turn into something bigger, you know, and that's how we kind of get involved and get people hyped up for, the indie scene in general, people who may be on the cusp, on the fence. They don't really know if they want to get involved, because if they see other people getting involved actively and talking about the books, talking about the material, analyzing the material, whether it be positive, whether it be negative, doesn't matter. You are entitled to your own opinions on it. You're not beholden to the artists. You're not beholden to the authors. I got two different perspectives on this. It's two different sides of the same coin. Okay. Said this plenty of times. Catharsis, like being artistic and creating books, like books and media, is a form of catharsis for both sides of the coin. Okay. So for the artist, like I say, for the artists, it can be cathartic to kind of release demons or explore things or kind of have or create experiences and stuff like that. And you're just being creative and working those creative juices, if you will. That can be a cathartic experience for the artist, but also cathartic for the consumer and reader as well, because they can read it and not only experience the work for themselves and from their own perspective, but then turn around, reflect upon the material, interpret it different ways based on their own personal experience and their own level of knowledge in different areas and this and that. Maybe draw, similarities and stuff like that from other different types of source material. Like, say, for instance, if a story in a book is based on a mythology and they're picking up what the author is putting down where other people might have overlooked that, certain details, it's fun little stuff like that can make the experience interesting. And I feel like the more people that are out here talking about it, actually getting involved and talking about them, that's what makes the indie scene more exciting all the way around. Because artists and authors are looking and saying, oh, look, there's someone who may potentially actually pick up my work one day and read it and talk about it. That's what we need more people of. Like, I'm just one man. I can only read so many indie books. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's important that we pay attention to these people that are out here and willing to do that. So let's get into another segment here before I start wrapping things up. How are you guys doing in the chat? You guys all right? What do you think? You think I'm onto something here? What do you think? Talking about reviews. Earlier in the stream, I was talking about reviews. People who do reviews. We got to start paying attention to those people. We got to start shouting them out, highlighting them, sharing their reviews around, championing these readers that are out here, taking the time. I've seen all types. And I got a video, a special presentation that I'm going to be working on here. And it's going to be getting into that. I've already talked about story structure a little bit, the writing side of it. Now I'm going to be doing another presentation where I kind of cover the other side of the coin when it comes to reading and reviewing and doing critique and writing like editorials and stuff like that. Yeah. Just people who want to read. Yeah. First step, get people excited. It can't be for the lack of market. There's plenty of stuff out there, man. And part of it has to do with discovery too. Like, where do people go to find books? Booktube is great for that. Booktube is great. I've discovered quite a bit through Booktube. So other people making videos and talking about books, that's one means of discovery for me. It's not the only means of discovery, but it is a means of discovery for me. This show is a means of discovery for me. But then from that point on, now you have to take the time to sit down and actually read what's on your TBR list. It can't just be about doing book hauls. It can't just be about You know, oh, I got, look what book I got sent to me today. You know, you actually do have to, you know, in order to actually be involved, fully involved in the indie scene, you actually have to crack that book at some point in time and read what's written on the pages. And then, I mean, then you decide whether or not you're going to, you know, take the time to do a review. Doing reviews is like above and beyond. That's like taking it a step further. And that's why I feel like those are the people that really deserve some damn attention, man. And I'd like to see, you know, more, you know, indie authors who kind of double as content creators really start paying attention to who's reading those books and taking the time to review them, because a lot of these people, they're not getting paid to do that. And think about it, when you're reviewing an indie book, it's something obscure. You know, I'm going to get into it when I do my presentation, but you're reading something that is obscure. Nobody knows who you're talking about in terms of the author. Nobody's ever heard of this book before. Okay. So the reason why I say that is not to, you know, put down artists or anything, but what I say that is just as a matter of fact. And that's having an understanding of the Booktube mentality, because a lot of people in Booktube are just readers. They're not authors, writers, or anything like that. They just want to read books and talk about books. So what they do is they're reading books that are popular. Why are they reading books that are mostly just popular? Because they want to tap into an audience that is already pre-built in with that book. So they have people to talk to about said book. So this is why you'll have every single booktuber is out there reading Stephen King. Every single booktuber is reading Lord of the Rings. Okay. Why? Because it's very popular and they know that they're going to generate an audience from that, or they're going to get some sort of attention. Keyword attention. You know, I'm not saying that they don't genuinely enjoy those works and they want to enjoy those works, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, I mean, they're doing it because they want to find a camaraderie with other readers who also enjoy those works and the fandom that come along with them. Okay, so the culture, as far as that goes, and at the same time generate attention for their own Booktube channel, which is why I'm saying it's within indie authors' best interest to start highlighting reviewers who are taking the time to read their books and review their books, because you're giving them that attention that I believe that they do deserve at the end of the day, regardless if they had positive things to say or negative things to say about the books. Okay. Yeah. Let me get into, I have a new hot topic for you guys tonight. Just might kind of touch upon it just a little bit in terms of this, you know, mainstream indie scene type of thing. But this is a brand new hot topic that I want to pitch. Brand new topic of discussion that I want to open up. All right. So this is a little segment, a staple of the Monday Night Live show that I call Hot Topic for Content Creators. Yes, Hot Topic for Content Creators. This is where I pitch a hot topic to you guys, and then you guys turn around, create your own content on said topic. And if you tag me in your video or just share the link with me, then I may feature your video during a future live stream, or else you're always welcome. Just go ahead. You can leave a thoughtful comment down below, or as someone has reminded me, you could always, if you have your own blog, you could write up a blog post on a subject that surrounds said topic and share that link with me instead. And you can check out all my previously pitched. There's no deadlines. There's no time limit on any of these topics. So you're welcome to go ahead and revisit any of my previously pitched hot topics, and you can leave a comment on those videos. I will go back and I will address the comments. If it's just kind of like a comment or something that you're saying in passing, then I may not make a big huge deal about it. I will address the comment, probably during the wrap up or something like that. But if you actually have something to say, something to bring to the table, and you kind of leave a thought-provoking, a thoughtful, lengthy kind of type of comment, then I will address it live on the air during this special segment, and we'll kind of go through it point by point by point that way. And so tonight I'm actually, first, before I get into it, let me just say, so far, there are 4 distinct discussions in which you can weigh in on and bring new subjects to the table surrounding these topics. One of our most prominent topics being the ongoing conversation surrounding the impact of artificial intelligence upon artistic endeavors, for instance. But there's also other ongoing conversations surrounding such topics as indie author folly, okay, where that's a topic where we call out the cringy business practices, marketing strategies, and public relations that we've observed within the indie scene, with a focus on the behavior, not the individuals themselves, so that we can kind of learn about this whole advertising and marketing thing and this indie scene together as a group, and talk about ideas. And in another topic, I asked you, is traditional publishing obsolete? And so far, we've covered subjects such as mainstream writers going on strike, the increasing accessibility to resources and methods of distribution for the individual, and how that has caused a kind of metamorphosis within the publishing industry as a whole, and how that's affected the kind of the stigma surrounding indie work and the so-called prestige of mainstream work. And the 4th topic I've pitched so far is about representation in fiction, okay? Which, to be honest, when I initially pitched this topic, I thought was going to be one of the most active ongoing conversations, because many people I see online seem to have a lot to say when it comes to certain subjects surrounding this topic. But so far, it's been, I think, the least active of all the conversations. So tonight, I would like to give a short pitch for a brand new topic of discussion. And the prompt for this new ongoing topic is merit versus market. I want to open a discussion about these 2 concepts and how they kind of relate to one another, how they differ from each other, and how one may influence or impact the other. I think every artist should have something to say about this topic, especially as it pertains to subjects that involve the word merit. What does it mean to have merit? Is merit something that can be acquired? What are the elements or some of the indicators within a piece of art or product that make up that make up a product that we can observe, which makes the work worthy? If a piece of work is very popular within the market, does that automatically mean it has merit? Do you believe in meritocracy, or do you believe the market is a rigged game? In that same vein, we could explore the pros and cons of getting involved in a union, an organization, or affiliating with a movement or association. So I encourage you guys to share your thoughts on this one. And if you want to leave me a well thought out comment, I will go through it point by point during a future show. Or if you produce a video and send me the link or tag me in it so I know it exists, then I'll respond to it live. But like I said before, you could also write up an essay or blog post and come up with your own subjects based on these concepts as we kind of move forward and we begin to embroider this topic together. All right. This isn't just a one-way street. That's what I want you guys to understand. I'm not here to talk at you. All right. I genuinely would like to see you guys join these conversations, and let's get this show on the road, shall we? And with that, it's time to wrap up this show. It's time for the wrap up. But before we do, we got to pick out some theme music. To close out the show. Told you guys, I am excited for that hot topic. I really would like to hear what people have to say. And I know damn well many of you have something to say when it comes to those two concepts. I mean, you could think about it like social media, all kinds of things, all kinds of subjects surrounding that topic. Come at it from all kinds of angles. All right, let's get some theme music going. Let's get this show on the road and wrap things up. How about we go with Giddy Up, bitches? Giddy up! Yeah! Let's giddy up, shall we? Let's go! Mount up! Ride out! Ride out! Let's go! Ah! Let's go, cowboys! Let's ride! Sir, can you calm down? This is how the West is won. You got brass. You a yellow belly. No one likes a yellow belly. Yeah! All right, let's check out some comments. I think we got one comment. From last week's stream, we got hobo sermons. from last week's stream, we got Hobo Sermons here. Hobo Sermons, for those of you who aren't familiar, he does live guitar. He does original songs, live streams on Thursdays and Fridays, okay? Thursdays, he does Hobo Originals. Fridays, he does cover songs. I believe he did a cover song, an acoustic cover song of Snoop Dogg's Gin and Juice before. I dig it. I tune in every now and then. He streams early in the morning, so usually I'm if I catch him live, that is, because usually I sleep in. Where'd our music go? I forgot to put it on loop. Yeah, usually I catch him in the morning. While he's live, it's breakfast time for me. By the way, it's just as good on the replay, I'll tell you that much. He says, hey, dude, lots of people are seeing those phishing comments on Twitch. It's total junk. Be sure to report it as spam if you can. Yeah, last week during the stream, I multi-stream these. I'm on Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. Every now and then I get some bots on Twitch. That's it. That's it for me this week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope y'all had some fun. I hope y'all discovered something new. But don't fret, because guess what? Guess what, Pilgrim? Guess what, partner? I will be back here for you. Next week, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 6 p.m. on the west side. West side. Yeah, that's the one and only time I will ever do that on the street. I'll just say that. Have a good week, guys.
This offended my sensibilities.